Welcome to the High Rod Hangout Podcast. I'm Matt, and tonight we got a special guest, Chad Strop with Lucky Tramp Customs and everything else that he's been doing. What's going on, man?
What's going on, man? Glad to be here. It's been trying to get together for a while now.
Yeah, man. It's been one I've been looking forward to because I think the first time I ran into you was the first time we went to the Groundhog Gala when you had the 50 and the bike.
Oh yeah, yep. That was cold. That was a cold morning, actually. I rode that bike there that day, and I was frozen when I got there, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. So what originally got you into cars?
I think just really hanging out with friends. I think, you see the meme where it's got all the bicycles in the front yard, and then later you've got all the trucks and cars and stuff in the front yard. I think that's really how it began, is just running with my group of friends, and one guy would get into something cool and we'd all follow, or vice versa. And I've stayed pretty close to a lot of those guys, and we always still just bounce fun and cool stuff off each other,
Yeah, that's what we're trying to mimic. It started as Lucky Tramp started as a club first, right? Like it was just your buddy club?
Yep, it did. It was I've told the story several times. I'll tell it again, but it all really started with bunch of us being at the beach, and I had a tramp stamp on my lower back, a little tribal piece that I got when I was 18 because my mom said I couldn't go get a tattoo, so that I immediately went and got a tattoo, and of everything I could get, I got a tribal on my lower back. And we're at the beach one day, and it was always, my friends would always just make fun of me. Like, I would go up to the bar, and, and my buddies would be a bar out on the beach, and it'd be like, tramp stamp, and the whole bar would laugh, and I'd turn around like, oh, dude. And then it was just like a thing for the rest of the day. People would giggle at me. But we were there, and one of our friends, Troy Banks, he dropped an elbow on my lower back and put me to the freaking sand on the beach, and I was all sweaty. And he goes, the tramp hammer, right on my tramp stamp, hammered me. And I got up, and I'm Sandy, and we're all looking at each other, and we're like, that's who we are, bro. We're the tramp hammers. And so that's how it kind of came about. And then later on, I remember riding down the road in a truck, and I was with just some friends, I think, Tommy Berry, Josh Wheeler, and I was saying, had a good little buzz going, said, how lucky I was to have the tramp hammers in my life. I'm a lucky tramp, and that's how it came out, So, and it's funny because some of the older folks will look at the name, because they think it's like, a little bit more,
scandalous.
Yeah, and I say, by definition, lucky. Tramp means fortunate walk by definition. Lucky's fortunate. A tramp is a walker to move around. And then when I tell them that, they give me the, I'm not dirty. Okay.
I mean, a little, but.
There's time and place for that. But so, yeah, it's, and then it just kind of came into doing it for fun. My trade's been fencing, which I've recently gone back to that, and just because recreational money is completely different than necessity money, and it's mandatory in Florida to have a fence around your pool, and people want to be able to let their dogs out at 2 in the morning and not have to walk them, so that money just hits different. And so that being said, I just kind of went back to it when COVID hit, and then just everything going on, like people's money's getting tight.
Oh, yeah.
And
the dollar doesn't go as far as it used to.
Yeah.
And it's way easier to justify $5,000 or $6,000 for a fence as opposed to $5,000 or $6,000 on a toy.
Especially when it comes to a dude's wife.
And you want, you got to keep mama happy.
Want versus need, mama's gonna win.
So,
yeah.
Tell us about your 50.
My 50, I got my 50. I've had my 50, God, I don't know, probably close to 15 years now. And I was fencing. I was subbing for a company out of DeBerry, and I pulled out, and I could see the nose of this car in Slim's Automotive. It was just an automotive repair shop. And I seen it, and every time I pull it, I would just see the freaking front grille in the 50, and it was the mist green, and I'd be like, man, I got to stop in there and talk to this dude. You know what I mean? And just look at this car. Well, in the mornings, I was in a hurry to get to work, and on the way back, I was just smoked and didn't want to talk and just wanted to get home. So one day, I finally made the time, and I pulled into this place, and I hey man, the owner was there. And I said, hey man, can I look at that car over there? And he said, what? And I said, can I look at the car over there? And he goes, the 50? And I said, yes, sir. And he says, yeah, I don't care. Yeah, go ahead. So I'm just flying around this thing like an old buzzard, like just, wow, this thing's so tits. And he comes over and he says, yeah, he goes, I'm going to do this, do that. And he had it set up for a gas, or he had it mocked up for a front end straight axle under the front. And he had drew with a marker in the quarters where he was going to cut it, and put slicks under it and stuff. And he had like Drew or something, Jezebel on the back of it. Yeah, this is Jezebel. And I'm going to, all these plans. He must have told me about these plans for an hour. And he goes, but for the right money, I'd sell it. And I'm like, well, what kind of money is the right money? And he's like, I'd probably take $4,000 for it. Well, I was ponied up at the time. And I was just like, I'll be back in 20 minutes. He's like, are you serious? And I'm like, well, are you serious? He's like, yeah. And I said, okay. So I went and got it. So I come back, we shook hands, had a blown up 216 in it, ended up having a 235, threw a 235 in it, Blue Flame, and dude, I beat the brakes off that thing for a while, with an enclosed driveline. Then I wanted it on air, and poor boy style. I'm still running the factory front crossmember, but the rear, kids don't do this at home. I did a mono flip on the rear with an original 1950 spring. Dangerous sucker going down the road screaming, and dragging the bumper and acting like a horse's ass, and had Lakers on it, so everybody knew I was going by. 58 mile an hour, it just sounds like a freaking, it's just crazy loud, and I just remember every time I'd go up and down just flexing that mono 1953. When's she gonna pop? When's this thing gonna pop, dude? So yeah, that's how I started, and the Blue Flame got me a long time, and finally did a 4-link on it, did a triangular on the rear, and it's not a frame off car or anything like that, but that's kind of how I got the car, man, and that was kind of how
awesome.
It came into my life. Yeah,
it's funny that you talk about the car screaming. We recorded a podcast the night after the West Coast Customs show, and we're sitting there and everyone's leaving. And for anybody that doesn't know, 49 to 54 Chevrolets, if you need one, go out to California. They have all of them. So like everybody's driving by with their 235s, straight pipes.
Oh yeah.
And they all sound like buzzing bumblebees. And they're not going nowhere, but it's yeah. And I'm like, shit, does Ashley's car sound like that? It doesn't. But like everybody had like the little like 1 3/4, 2-inch exhaust pipes, and they're all just humming by.
Oh yeah,
and it sounds like you're hauling ass, but
they sound rowdy, but they're not doing anything.
So I get that. It's got a small block in it now, though.
Yeah, I ended up getting a small block, and I was doing a little work for a guy in St. Cloud, and he came across a little street strip truck, a little S10, a little dime, and he's a big block guy, so he was pulling the small block out, and from what I heard, it was doing like 11 early 10s down the strip. It was a stripped out truck.
Yeah.
And it doesn't do that in my car, but it had a little Saturday night cam in it. It just sounded good.
Yep.
And I got to ride in the truck, before I got it, and he was pulling, and he was going to pull it. And so I said, what are you doing with that motor, man? And he says, I don't know. He's like, I'm probably just going to sell it. I'm a big block guy. I don't, And I said, well, what would you take for it? He goes, I don't know, is it worth $500 bill? And I'm like, yes. So I gave him the money, but one stipulation, he's like, you got to pull it. And I'm like, oh, well, that's no big deal. And he had all the tools, so it was just time. Yeah. So it's like, okay, I got a rowdy little small block for $500. I got to pull it. And then I ended up, I had a 700, or I'm sorry, a 400 that I had built for a truck of mine that I had, and I just put that behind it. And I wanted to keep banging gears in it, but I had this built 400, so it just made sense. And then I thought one day if my kids wanted to drive it, or drive it to school, it would just be easier for them, in the beginning. But so there's a little small block in it, 400, and I took my banger, on my steering column, and just made a rod and made it to where it just clicks in gear, so it still
Oh,
looks
it
like
actually-
it's got the banger.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can do that on those cars. You just make a rod and you just put a tab on the transmission and click, click, click. It's smooth as glass. But obviously no neutral safety or anything. You gotta be careful. Yeah. So. Yeah, a lot of the stuff I'll do to my own car, I won't do anybody else's. But it's like, I don't want anybody getting a little buzz on getting in their car and forget it's in gear and freaking start it and take off. It's scary. But
especially now, if you're used to new cars.
Yeah, that old school mentality. I mean, guys just knew how to drive stuff back then. They just knew they thought about that stuff.
Yeah. Well, we were coming back from last year's drag strip riot, and the 54. The only time it's ever really given me any trouble was on that trip. And it was because I just asked that 235. I asked a lot of it. We hopped up on the interstate running with the Rolling Joker guys, and the motor sounded fine, but everything around the motor sounded like it was fixing to come apart.
Really?
And hydro locked the fuel pump, and I'm just, so, but we'd pulled in to get gas, and it did not want to start again, and I was like, okay.
Is it still a banger, or is it a power?
Yeah, it's a 235, and it has a S10 5-speed.
Oh, it does? Okay,
yeah, S10 5-speed and S10 rear end.
So it's open then.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine was enclosed. Oh my God, dude. 58 mile an hour, that car was pissed.
Yeah,
screaming.
I mean, I can run 70, but like I said, about 70 it starts, the car sounds like it's shaking itself to death.
Really?
And, so you really can't tell if the motor's screaming or not.
Yeah.
I don't think I had a tack at that time either. So it always sounded like, to me, it was ripping.
Yeah.
And
is that car static or is it on air?
No, it's static.
It's static. Okay.
I've lifted it 2 inches since we bought it. I have no clue how the dude before us drove it around.
Really?
Yeah.
Just
those are stock springs in the front, and it's Steel Tuck's tire. It's got dropped uprights.
Oh, it does.
I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Because we got it home. Unloaded off trailer, it got hung up on the trailer. I had to pick up on the bumper and do all that low shit, dealing with your bullshit.
Yeah.
And put Ashley in it, and it's dragging the dirt, and I'm like, oh, this sucks.
Yeah.
So it had 4-inch lowering blocks in the rear. We put 2 inches in it, and then I had bought some CPP 2-inch lowering springs for the front, thinking, well, the picture shows that it sits at the top of the tire, so that should be fine.
Yeah.
Couldn't get the jack back out.
Oh, man.
And I'm like, it's lower now than it was before we started this. How did that happen?
It's caked.
And I'm like, okay, so I ordered a set of brand new stock springs, threw them in there. And I was like, all right, cool.
Money, yeah.
I've still to this day, I've not had to go pick that car up with a trailer.
Nice.
So I had a buddy, he was like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm sitting at the gas station waiting for this car to cool off. So I'm like, well, as a matter of fact, just come get me. And he's like, what? I said, just run me home, I'll grab a trailer. I don't want to sit here anymore. It's kind of embarrassing to sit there. Everybody walk by a nice car, and you're just like, that's nice.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting on somebody, pretending like it ain't broke.
Yeah. Every old timer, I learned how to drive in that car. And you're like, oh no, not this conversation again.
So I come home, he brings me home, I get the trailer, we go back, and I'm like, before I load this motherfucker and break its streak,
yep.
I'm like,
she'll light off.
I breathed on the key, it started. I said, hey, Ashley, you drove the trailer, go.
Yeah.
I said, take the ramp. I said, go. Well, I had a buddy that his brother has never rode anything old. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, cool, come on. So he loads up, and we're riding. He's looking around. I'm like, what you look for? He's like, seatbelt. And I'm like, there ain't no seatbelts. I'm like, there's no airbags either.
Yeah, is this illegal? They're all worried, stressing.
So we're coming around, and there's a pretty good hump. Railroad tracks, but I've made it. I know it'll make it. It's fine. Yeah. So I go across it. Well, when it goes across it, the rear end gets a little close to the frame. It smacks it. Drive shaft smacks. You know, I know it. It's coming. I don't even hear it. And it's fine.
Yeah.
And he's like, what? Well, then the passenger door is a little wonky sometimes, so it clicked out. It didn't open, but it clicked to that first little notch. And I'm like, just open it and slam it harder next time. It'll be fine. And
How
he's
old
like,
is he?
20.
Oh, yeah. It's like Narnia to him, dude. He's like, this is a different world.
And, we're going down the road. You've seen our road. It's got a little bit of bumps to it. So it's clank, 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 clank. Yeah. And I'm just it's a big old smile on my face. And he's like, it's weird, man. Old stuff, you don't understand. And then I get in something new, and I'm like, there's no noise. It's like quiet.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like this. This
Yep.
is weird.
Yeah, man. I love the older stuff, but I mean, don't get me wrong. I like having something consistent.
Oh yeah.
But just that old, just analog versus digital world, man. Like when I was growing up, we didn't have cell phones. I remember I got my first beeper. And I thought I was big. It looked like a VCR hanging off the side of me, this big, huge freaking box, and I thought I was cool as could be, But man, when we were young, we didn't have cell phones. We went on an adventure, and if you broke down, you took it step by step and figured it out. Payphones and stuff.
Yeah. And at that time, you needed the buddies to go with you. That way, you had more people to help when you broke down. Because it wasn't with classic cars. It's not if, it's when.
That's right.
But that's part of the fun, because I remember when I told my job, like, hey, I'm going out to the West Coast, I'm doing this road trip. And everybody's like, in the old stuff. I'm like, yeah. And they're like in the car you drove here? And I'm like, no, my car's not going. I said, but yes.
Yeah.
And they're like, what if you break down? I'm like, we'll fix it.
Yeah. No, we're going to break down. Like, it's going to happen. That's right.
It's not what if. It's like,
Yeah.
And the 55 come off of jack stands like 10 minutes after Brian landed.
Wow.
Like they had just finished putting the 351 in it, and they're like, no road test. So we road tested it on the trip.
Yeah, you just sack up and go. That's what you do, man. You just go.
And we figured out that hills are different. Like our hills and Texas hills are way different than what Montana people call hills.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, we're getting to the top of these hills, and we're like, man, these hills. And they're like, hill. And I'm like, it's a hill.
Yeah.
Like, we started 2,000 feet below where we ended up. This is a hill.
Yeah, that's right.
And adjusting the carburetor. Oh, it's getting too much. All right.
Altitude, yeah.
And finally, it's like, stop number 3 to adjust this carburetor. And Brian's like, man, this car don't like these hills. And they're like, hey, hill. And Brian's like, the fucking car thinks it's a hill.
Yeah, the car knows it's a hill.
If you start at the bottom at 60, and by the time you get to the top, you're doing 30.
Mm-hmm.
That's a hill.
That's right.
But their hills are our mountains.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, we think Claremont's got hills.
Yeah.
Nothing. That's a speed bump.
But it's beautiful country, and like I said, that trip was me and you talked. That trip was great. The weather in California, like I said, if they get the rest of their country or state figured out,
yeah.
Because then there's like little pockets, like you said, where you were at. It's like here.
Yeah, it's just it's a different, man. I was in Costa Mesa. We were talking and name dropped my boy Seth Enslow that brought me out there to chop his 50 Ford. We had just a great time, and if you don't know who Seth Enslow is, you need to look him up, because he is a wild guy. And I just mean, like, back in the day with him jumping dirt bikes, and I said he kind of just helped open the portal to the freestyle world, and he was the guy where everybody's looking at a jump, all of a sudden he's flying through the air. It's crusty demons of dirt.
Yep.
I was watching that back in the day, and the hard way and all that stuff, and now I've become what I would call good friends with him, and it's just wild. I was like, dude, I was watching you when I was riding back in the day, and now we're working on your 50.
Chopping it up,
It's dope. But he took me around. He had an extra soft tail, and he took me riding. I went out with all the guys, went and had breakfast, and then we rode the one up through Dana Point, Laguna, and showed me a really good time. And dude, he's like really health conscious, dude. Like, alcohol free. He's got a garden. He's got chickens back there. So we'd go in the morning, pick some strawberries right off the plant and eat them. He would grab eggs. Man. We would boil eggs and eat eggs, boiled eggs for breakfast, and cook fish and rice at night, for dinner. And it was so cool. And it just hits different out there.
Oh yeah.
It does. And the weather, like you said.
It's like we said, it's what we're trying to mimic here.
Yeah. We just can't mimic the weather.
No.
Like I said, we're out there working, and it's like 73, and one of these like, damn, it's getting hot today, and I just look up, and I'm like, no.
This is morning
like
weather.
Winter, bro. Like, this is great. No humidity. Like, this is amazing. Like, he's like, I can't remember the last time I turned my air conditioning on. He goes, goes, they have these screens. Like when you walk through the door, these screens come back. They got magnets and they close to keep like just anything, bugs or whatever.
Yeah.
It just stays open all day and all night. Like it just never gets hot, never gets cold. It's crazy. Yeah, definitely worth the trip and the time with him. But he's starting to check him out. Enslow's Garage. He's trying to get that off the ground and pushing that, and just everything the guy puts his hands into turns to cool. You know what I mean? Like he's just one of those guys that he can get guys into it and create a following, and you know that just comes with his personality and stuff.
Well, and that's part of. I mean, we all. If you're into cars, you watched all those movies too. Yeah. You know, that's... And I thought when you had said Seth Enzo, I thought that's who you're talking about. Because I was like, the cat did look familiar. But then I was like, maybe it's somebody different.
Yeah, someone's like, are you talking about the Seth Enzo? And I'm like, I'm talking about that's him, dude. I'm wearing a shirt right now.
Yeah.
Fresno Smooth, yeah. But, cool dude. And he's got a cool group of friends. They're fixing to go on like a 10,000-mile Harley ride. They go up to like through Alaska, Canada. They do a whole loop. His buddy Roji like plans it all out where they're going to stay, and they do like 10,000 miles on bikes. And his bike, like Seth's bike's he's got a lift kit he put on his Harley, and he just rides hard and fast and crazy. Like when we went out, I'll tell you something funny. When we went out, he's like, hey, we're going to take the bikes, go grab breakfast. I'm going to take you and show you some cool stuff. I'm like, all right, rad. Well, when we hit the freeway, I'm on this. I've never rode Ford controls ever. You know, so he's got Fords on this chopper. Bro, they're balling the jack, dude. They're gone, and I've got the 3/4 helmet on, and the glasses that I have, these Mansons, I don't know, it created like a roll of air or something, so I'm underwater. My eyes are watering so bad, and I just lose sight of everybody. And then Seth like pulls over and gets beside me. He's like, dude, are you okay? And I'm like, where is everybody? Like, they were gone. And I'm trying to tell him, I'm like, dude, I'm underwater here. My eyes watering up, but I finally got it together. But I felt like the biggest freaking puss, man. I felt like these guys are gonna be like, he's a wanker. That's me, the guy from Florida. I'm giving us a bad name.
Yeah, come on, man.
Yeah, but anyway, you got some cool stuff going on outside. You got this Model A, you got a CAD, you got the 54.
The bike's still in the back.
Bike's still. What's it like swinging that big old wiener around, dude?
No, man, I got all that because I got a little one. I got to make up for it somehow.
I get that. I get.
It serves its purpose.
Yeah. Overcompensate, whatever you call it.
This is the first time you've seen the A.
Yeah.
This is the first time anybody's seen the Cadillac besides me and Ashley.
Yeah, that thing's going to be...
That if it's in my... I might not get all of it done that I want to get done for next year for West Coast, but the plans for that car when it's done...
So you're going to like fully sandblast that car, like just, or strip it, at least go all the way down the middle?
Yeah, I'm going all the way down to bare metal.
Yeah.
So September 6th, it's going to go like that, running and driving to the Sunshine State Showdown at Lake County. Okay. And then I hope to have it in primer and kind of headed in the direction that it needs to be for our show January 3rd. You should come up for that.
I do. Just keep reminding me. I'm bad, dude.
Yeah. And then after it leaves our show, it will disappear from the internet until the day we pull out to head out to West Coast. Dude. Because I don't want, and it's going to be really, really hard for me to walk by that car if it's painted and not want to drive it.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah, absolutely.
That's the one thing with social media is like I love it and I hate it. We do a lot of social media because of this and kind of it's the world that we live in now. But I miss you have to show up at the show to see what,
Sure.
Oh, what car is Gene bringing? What is Voodoo Larry been working on? What's these guys, there's so many dope guys that are just building retarded stuff. But now you just open up the Instagram and, okay. So that's what that car looks like right now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Speaking of Gene, today's a celebration of life, I think. I was going to try to make it out there for it, but just coming back from California, it's hard for me to get back out there. And I had it planned to help Seth, but I believe today is like his celebration of life out there. Yeah. I'm pretty sure. And I was hoping he would make it to 100, dude. I was hoping he would make it and bring a whole new meaning to Century Toppers. which, do you know what Century Toppers is about? Century Toppers is something they came up with, and they had plaques and stuff made, and it was 100 mile an hour. So when they were out in the flats and stuff, Century Toppers topping 100. But so I was hoping, I was like, wouldn't it be cool if he made it to 100? And Century Topper would be just a really cool thing to go out as a.
I never got to meet him in person. I spoke to him for about 5 minutes on the phone, and he gave me shit for not asking about being on the podcast.
Wow, that sounds like him, man. Nobody really knows the story with him. I've never told it, and I didn't really want to, because I didn't want to sound like that guy. But I've got a story to tell, and it doesn't have to be right now unless you want me to kind of go through it quick. But,
if you want to, man.
It's really, really cool to be able to say that I kind of had I don't know, I guess I got to be a little bit more on the intimate side with him as far as just a relationship as friends, because when he came down for the metal workshop, he got really sick, and a lot of people don't know what happened, but we had a class, and had a classroom to come down, and I threw a big pre-party, and we had a band play, at my house, and we just had it all set up. It was really cool, and Gene's out there dancing with young girls, and he's just like, it was insane. And so that was Friday night, and the class was Saturday and Sunday, and he went to bed, and he was sick. He was getting really sick. And I know the humidity kind of hit him a little bit hard, so I'm just thinking, he's just not used to the humidity, and stuff like that. And so I kind of was keeping an eye on him, right? And he was staying in my spare bedroom, and he started throwing up. And long story short, the man threw up all night. I laid in bed with him, holding his puke bucket, holding a wet rag on his brow, trying to keep him comfortable, rubbed his back for him, trying to, and nobody knew, and we didn't know at the time, but he was in full kidney failure. And dude, so the next day, we're up all night, Matt, no sleep. When I say no sleep, it's 7 o'clock. Gene rises up, and he says, Chad, get me my shoes. And I said, what do you need, Gene? I can get it. You don't have to go in it. Do you need me to go out? Are you hungry? You need a water? What do you need? He goes, we got the class. I said, Gene, you've been throwing up all night. I'm canceling the class, bro. You can't do the class today, or we'll do it Sunday or something. He goes, they paid for a class. By God, they're getting a class. And I'm like, this is a real man. This is,
they don't build them.
This is a Clint Eastwood of freaking car stuff, right? So, okay. So I put his shoes on for him. I helped him get dressed, grabbed a shirt and stuff like that. We go do the class, and he is game on. He's just a well-oiled machine, but the acid reflux was hitting him so hard, he would just keep pausing, trying to talk and stuff like that. So finally 3:30 came. Well, not just that, lunch came. He walked inside, threw up. I think maybe he drank a little bit of something, some water or something, came back out, and at 3:30 I called the class. I said, guys, are you guys cool if we just cut a little early today? And everybody could see he was just wore out, and everybody's like, oh, yeah, man, no problem. And people were just literally like, dude, I've learned more today than so many hacks and tricks, and just people would be like, what? You just hear, he would be telling you stuff or showing you a tool, and people would be like, what? No way, dude. One guy was like, he was about to spend thousands of dollars on a radius brake. Yeah. And Gene shows him the pipe amble where we welded two pieces of pipe together and pushed it, and it's got a perfect radius in it. And the guy's like, dude, you just saved me $7,500 or something. It was crazy like that. Yeah. So everybody's kind of shaking hands, talking about the class and stuff like that. And Gene's he's in a tough spot. And I said, Gene, and my wife works for the hospital, and I said, why don't we go to the hospital, man, and just have them check you out? Just have them look at you, right? Because them old guys, they don't want to go to the hospital and stuff. They just tough it out. And he agreed to it. So at the time, he was he had a friend named Laura, and I called Laura to let her know what was going on, and she goes, he agreed to go to the hospital. And I said, yeah. I said, we're going to go. And she goes, then he's sick. Yeah. So we go there, and I'm trying to make this really quick, but it's just something that's just kind of so special looking back now, and then just thinking about today being a celebration of life. And so we go there, and I guess he had some stents failing and was in like full-blown kidney failure. And they're like, dude, if you wouldn't have come in here now, you would have been in some real trouble. So he ended up staying in the hospital almost a week. I was there every day with him, staying there the whole time. And I had to cancel the next day. And it's funny because I think only one person, and this one person set up a camera, and Gene asked, please don't record the camera. Set up a camera, record the whole class, and was pretty much telling me to get bent because he posted it on his YouTube. And I was like, bro, you got to take it down because you're showing the world Gene's class that everybody's paying for. That's his gig. That's part of his gig now. And the guy pretty much told me to get bent. And I was like, dude, like I wanted to beat the brakes off that guy. I was like, how disrespectful. Yeah, but anyway, so I think he was the only one trying to get his money back after even doing that. I want my money back because I didn't get the full class. And I ended up giving him his money back because I told Gene everything was going on. Gene goes, let him have his money back. Give it back to him. Time will take care of that. You know, like that was Gene's attitude. If he wants to just give it back, I don't need it. It's fine. So even sick. And everybody else was just like, dude, I learned more in one day than I could have learned in 2 weeks with someone else, right?
Yeah.
So that being said, we got him through it. I stayed up there with him. Finally, I'm sitting on the couch, and I'm kind of like got my neck turned. There's a television, and he's watching something. So finally, I was just like, all right, scoot over, old man. He goes, what? And I said, I'm coming. He goes, you're going to sit in this bed with me? And I said, well, yeah, my neck hurts. He goes, well, you might as well get a sheet of paper and a pen. And I'm like, okay. We sat there for hours, and him drawing tools that he's made, stuff he's done, like showing me all this stuff, man. And to be able to say, you know, I told a couple of my friends that have asked about him and knew, you know, but I've never really tried to make that public, you know, because that's kind of, you know, he didn't want anybody, like, I don't know if he did or not, but he don't want anybody to know he's going to do a class and that happened. So I tried to keep it on the lowdown. But so I got to kind of be there for him. And every time I'd call that man, Matt, he would answer the phone. Oh, yeah. Anytime I'd call him, he would answer the phone or he would call me back to make sure I didn't need anything. And
that was, you know, like I said, we never physically got to talk. I talked to him for about 5 minutes, and then at the end of it, he's like, "You're not even gonna ask?" I'm like, "Nope." And he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Nope." He's like, "Oh no." I said, "No." I said, "Unless I could get in the same room as you, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do it over the internet. I don't want to, you know." And when the news broke that he passed, you know, I knew that you had a relationship with Zach Parks with Wire Customs. You know, I reached out to him. I'm like, "You good, man?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's tough, but I'm getting it." I'm like, "I get it." And Brian with the other podcast, Hometown Hot Rodder, him and Clayton, his son, stood and talked to him for about an hour. And Gene said the exact same thing to the end of it. He goes, "You didn't even ask?" And he's like, "No, this is for me and my son. Like, I don't." He's like, "It's not even about that." And that really, the conversation that I would have had with him if I would have been able to stand next to him wouldn't have had anything to do. Like, it wouldn't have been for the world. And so it's cool that you got to have that and that you kept it.
Yeah, and a lot of people use him as a tool for the look at me part, and I didn't want to do that. I was just glad. I genuinely wanted to learn from him and just understand where all of what we're chasing came from.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and the traditional side of it. And now you've got these guys that get so cocky, like, oh, yeah, I mean, they're coach building stuff and they're TIG welding. And then there's been guys that I've seen on the middle, like, yeah, Gene does this and he does. Well, dude, he's gas welding. He's doing it old school. But he was doing this when, you know, you were shitting your britches. You know what I mean? Like, so,
he was doing this when you weren't even a plan in your daddy's eyes.
Yeah, and now you're getting cocky with it. Like, dude, like you're in this for the wrong reason apparently.
Well, and then seeing what they could accomplish back 50, 60 years ago.
They didn't have the internet. They were like, let's just cut it off and see what it looks like.
like what? That might go back together, and if it doesn't, we'll figure out how it goes back together. And, you know,
but they're not learning tricks off of the internet.
No. But even like you said with the pipe ample. Mm-hmm. A buddy, you know, that was a hey, this is what we need. Yeah. And I either can't afford it or they don't make it, so now I have to make something to make it work. And
we've made tools together. He showed me, we made a tool together on how to cut wing windows down, and you don't have to section them and weld them back together. It's a tool where you can just pretty much re-radius it, put a square on it, and you cut the tail off to the new radius because now it's longer. Yeah. And that's what I did on my 50. I still have that tool. And then when he left, he signed everything, dude. I would walk around and there would be like something on my refrigerator. Gene Winfield. He gave my son a $5 bill that says to Wade Gene Winfield, and he gave me a $2 bill that says to Chad Gene Winfield and stuff. And then I would find a magazine and the front of it would be like Gene Winfield. Everything, he'd just go around signing everything because, I would never get rid of it for the world. Oh, you know what I mean? But it was just like, you're not going to forget me, Nah. That's fun.
It'd be cool to find something that you haven't found yet,
Oh, that would be so rad, dude.
You go get something that you haven't used in a while, and you open up the drawer, and there's.
And he dated too, so that's what's cool too. Like, man, it's already been that long, but taking pictures with my little boy and just, dude, I walked him. We went to Napa. We had to grab some welding supplies, and this guy in Napa flips out. He goes, Gene Winfield, and Gene loves it, really. He's like, I'm in this small town, and this guy's, he goes, dude, Gene, I have a model, like the models you put together. He goes, I have a model of a Mercury with you standing in front of the Mercury on the box of it. He goes, I've had it for years, like brand new in the box. I've never opened it. And Gene says, well, bring it in and I'll sign it for you tomorrow. And the guy's like, you got to be kidding me. Well, sure enough, Gene's like, we got to go sign that guy's model. And I was like, oh, yeah. So I carted him back up to Napa, and the guy brought it. But Gene remembered that, man. He remembered that was special to him. And Gene made that note, like, we got to go sign. I got to go up there so I can take care of him because he's going to do what he said he does. So.
And that's what it is. That's part of people not being built like that anymore.
Yeah.
Is a lot of, and I'm guilty of it too. Get complacent, not think about something. And, and that might, and to Gene, I've said it about putting kids in cars. Like, you might not remember that kid.
Right.
That kid's always going to remember you.
Absolutely.
And it's, and for him to still be that way all the way to the end.
Yep. And
then hearing some of the stories of people taking advantage, and it's like.
Yeah, they just, they use him for a prop, and I think that goes with a lot of different things, whether it's cars or whatever.
Yeah, it's not strictly car guy. Yeah, it's just.
But I've had a good opportunity. I've had some amazing opportunities, and people would ask me all the time, they're like, dude, how did you get Gene here? And I go, I called his office and asked him. I called his office and Gene Winfield, and I'm like, hey, Gene, how did I? And he answered, and I was like, hey, would you come to Florida and do a metalworking class? He goes, I'd love to. And he hooked me up with Johnny B. Good, the guy that was running everything at the time, and he set it up, and I got the flights, and I hyped it up, and I had a flyer drawn, and dude, that class filled like fast. Yeah. And then I've become friends with Oz Welch, who's like, to me, like, probably one of the most solid individuals you could ever meet in the custom world. He's very humble. He's an incredible person, not just a builder. And his family's amazing. His son Cruz is awesome. They're just good people. And my friend Ed Pinkston is one of my best friends. Is really close with Oz, and so that's kind of how I met Oz. So it's like the way I met Ed Pinkston was because he had me paint some lowrider wheels before they were spoked. So I painted like 4. He wanted a 5. He wanted a spare, so I painted some wheels for him. And then come to find out, he's friends with Oz. And then I became with Larry and I because of social media. He thought my Serape was cool and wanted me to paint a stand-up base for him. And next thing you know, I'm going to California or Chicago and hanging out with Larry, and Larry's showing me cool stuff. Yeah. And we're tight. And we had a little hiccup for a minute just because of the he said, she said, and it really wasn't that way. And we finally got to talk it out, and we're good. And so we, we're talking about maybe me trying to go up and hang out with him soon and kind of see, because you just go in a shop, dude, and it's just 4,000 or 5,000 square feet of just amazingness, dude. And he'll say, well, there's a power hammer, go play on that, or what do you want to learn, and he'll teach me something, and he's a lot of fun. So it's been cool, man. I've gotten in front of some amazing people that have taught me some cool stuff, and I still sometimes can't believe it.
Yeah, I was before this trip, before I knew I was going to try to go back to the West Coast next year. We were going to try to make it up there for his last open house.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Because he's only doing one more in Chicago, and then it'll be
Oh, Larry? Oh, yeah. But yeah.
He listens to my podcast.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Hey, Larry. It's your boy, Lucky Tramp. Yeah. I met I'll tell you another funny story really quick is I went out to California for work. I was doing like seasonal work for an ice skating rinks, building like for the holidays, you know, so people can skate on them. And I was out near Malibu, like Thousand Oaks. And I wrapped it up, and I had some time in between my next gig. And so I went on a road trip. They're like, hey, you want to fly home, or you want to hang out in California for a few days or whatever? And I'm like, well, man, I'd love to see some shops. So I was like, I'm going to find freaking Gambino, and I'm going to run by there and buy a T-shirt. Dude, you got to listen to the story. It's so great. Which we were talking about, Alex, a while ago outside.
Yep.
So I pull up, and there's this freaking pit bull out, right? And I mean, dude, this is like, I've never really experienced California. So I'm like, okay, I'm just pulling up, and the dog's out there barking, chained up. There's cool stuff everywhere. And Alex comes out. It's like, what's up? And I'm like, hey, man, I said, I follow you on social media, and I was wondering if I could just pick up a T-shirt from you. You want to buy a shirt? I said, yeah. He says, all right, hold on. So, come in, he takes me in. He had to make sure I could get around the dog, so he comes in, he says, what shirt do you want? And I was like, oh, that one's cool. And I, pick out a shirt or whatever. And he's got the grill open, he's about to cook some lunch, right? So he says, what do you do, this and that? And he says, oh, you got a 50? And I show him my car. Oh, that's cool. And we're talking. He goes, you want to stay for lunch? I said, sure. I'll stay for lunch. And he says, all right. He says, so he's putting hot dogs on the grill. So I'm like, dude, I'm freaking eating a hot dog. Alex Gambino. This is pretty dope. And he says, so you know how to do some stuff, huh? And I said, what? I said, I'm pretty good with my hands. And he says, well, you want to help that guy over there that's I think he's in from Sweden, apprenticing with him. He says, you want to help that guy make a transmission cover for that chopped 54 over there? And I'm like, yes, I do. Dude, I had a brand new white shirt on, new Dickies, brand new Chucks, ruined it all. Don't care. This is going to be fun. So I'm working on this car, and I just got nothing to do. I'm just in travels. I don't know where I'm going to stay. I'll just find a hotel, I guess. Here I am in, San Jose. This is where I'm at. So, so I go lock everything up, and I'm working on this 54. And so I guess Alex sees like, oh, this guy's like actually works. He's got some ethic, So he's like, so you want to just crash here, spend the night? And he's at his shop, and I'm like, well, where do you live? He goes, no, we just stay here. And I'm like, okay. Like, have you ever been to Gambino's old place?
I haven't.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it's so sick. Like, so you walk in, and I think one of the first cars, it might be the first car. Like, he'll probably call me if he hears this and be like, no, this is the car. Like, he's a no bullshit kind of guy, right? So, I think it was like the first car on hydraulics or something like that, or one of the first cars on juice. I think it was still all aircraft. Yeah, I think it was still all aircraft parts. And so here I am, and now we're eating dinner. I think he cooked some chicken or something, and we drank some coffee. Because he's straight edge. He's straight edge. And so he says, yeah, so he's got the shop, and it's kind of it's kind of cool. Like, there's just different rooms, and there's this car on juice sitting in the middle of this room with a television, and I'm like, this is California, I guess? Like, this is freaking rad.
Yeah.
Like, he's living the life. And so he's like, all right, well, listen, when you go to the room to crash, there's like a room, had a bed and stuff in there. He goes, dude, you can't come out when you go in. And I'm like, what? He goes, you can't, like, the dog will kill you, dude. You can't, can't come out. So make sure you're good. And I was like, okay. So I'm like, okay, don't come out of the room. Luckily, I don't sleepwalk. So I lay down, dude. This is freaking hilarious. I lay down, and I'm like kind of zoning out, and I get somebody's knocking on the door, and I'm like, if I open it, am I going to die because of this dog? Like, what's going on? So I'm like, yeah. And he goes, hey, man, he goes, get dressed. We're going to go for a candy run. And I'm thinking, a what? He's, we're going for a candy run, get dressed. And I'm like, what the hell's a candy run? I'm like, are we going to go slang or something? Like, what? Am I going to get shot?
I mean, it's Gambino.
Right? So I'm like, okay. And I open, I don't know him, right?
Yeah.
But I'm like, this guy's freaking cool. So I get dressed and I walk out and I'm just being quiet and I'm trying to figure out in my head and I'm like, what is going on? And we get in something cool to ride to the store in. And we go to the store and I'm like, so, just him and I go, so, what's a candy run? And he looks at me. He's giving me that Gambino look. He goes,
Reese's?
you know, Butterfingers and shit, you know, like, and I'm like a real candy? He goes, yeah, what'd you think it was? I'm like, and finally the relief, I'm like, oh my God, dude, like, I don't know, Alex, I don't know what we're doing. Like, this is on the fly for me. We go there, starts, yeah, I want some candy, and my wife wants this, and so we got Butterfingers, and we got freaking Heath bars, and we got all M&Ms. Oh my God, it was so funny, dude. We just come up with this pile of candy, dude, and I'm like, well, he's straight edge, so everybody's got a vice, you know, and so I got some candy, and we come back, and we have a snack, and then I finally end up going to bed, and now I can't sleep because I'm all sugared up, but that was my story, Gambino, and the next morning I was getting up, and he was like so cool, dude. He was just like, bro, if you just want to hang out for a couple weeks and work on stuff, like, I'll pay you. Like, he's like, I could use a hand, and I'm like, bro, I gotta go. Like, I'm here for work. I was like, I'm gonna head down to see Gene, and Alex and Gene were really close. Yeah. And Alex loves Gene, and Gene loved Alex, and so he was pretty stoked when I told him I was going to see Gene, and he's like, oh man, you're going to see Gene, and so I went and showed up in Mojave like a stray dog, and that's when Gene was stuck overseas. When he had broke it, would he break his hip or something like that, and he was stuck over there, couldn't get back. Well, the day I show up, he wasn't there. He was still stuck. So I started hanging out with Jimmy Severino, and that's been with Gene forever. And Jimmy and I hit it off. Such an amazing guy. And we went to dinner and stuff like that. And the next day, Gene showed up on a whim. Like, they didn't know when he was coming home, and all of a sudden, Gene goes, oh, and Jimmy's like, oh, there's Gene right there. Like, it was nothing. And Gene walks up like he's just been stuck overseas, and there's Gene. And Gene just was like, hey, let's go for a walk. I got to check on the shop. And we walked around the shop for like 45 minutes. He was there. He's like, did you see he was doing freaking molds, building chopped Mercs out of fiberglass back in the day, way ahead of his time. All these molds are still there intact, and there's just Mercuries lined up in random places that he was popping out of these molds, dude. And it's like, they're just there. And it's just like, he was just ahead of his time. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, all the stuff. He had a junkyard, dude, of just stuff from the 50s. And you know how dry it is out there. So it's like,
it's all still good.
Oh my God. All this stuff is just like, it's all dry and intact, you know? So,
well, as I said, the 54, her driver's side turn signal exited the chat. And I was like, well, I'm out there. I'll try to find one. And then I was like, literally, this would be the place. Yep. Didn't even ask anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there.
That and running, you say making like connections like that, and it is, you know, I never thought, you know, I'm like you, man. I'm just a little podunk small town kid that has a car obsession.
Yeah.
So like people recognize you. It's like, well, that's weird. Or like you get connections. Like I met Larry through Brian with the Hometown. He helped us get started because their podcast is like stick with a little bit of car. Yeah. And ours is car with a little bit of stick.
Yeah.
And he's like, we tried to do you. He's like, but we're just old men who like garage talk more. So that's what they're doing.
Right.
And we were on the podcast with him, and he's like, hey, let me make a phone call real quick. Hey. He's like, yeah, what's up, Larry? Man, I got Matt. Oh, I listen to them.
Oh, really?
Oh, shit. It's like, you listen to, like, yeah, you know, and it's weird.
Have you reached out to Larry to come on?
No.
You should.
Like I've said before, I have, we'll talk about that after.
Yeah. He's a world of knowledge. Man.
Yeah, man.
See that Murphy's building? That wagon Murphy's building?
Yes.
That thing's nasty, man. That
thing's had more taillights in it than...
Bro, but he comes up with some like, he is like...
But successful.
Yeah.
Like, every set that's been in the car, I'm like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then, like, why did you cut them out?
Yeah.
And then he puts something different. I'm like,
cool.
All right, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yep. Yeah. No, he's definitely got vision like nobody else, man. That's for sure.
Well, and pushing the envelope, because he gets a lot of, because when we were at Turkey Rod Run, one of the Voodoo Kings was there with, I don't remember what car he had, but it's one of the flamethrower cars.
Oh, was it, what's his name, from Ohio? Was he from Ohio?
Tennessee, I believe.
Tennessee.
TJ.
Oh, I think I'm thinking Ben from Ohio. I think Ben's.
But and I just seen the Voodoo King's jacket, and I was like, "Is that the same?" Yeah. And he was like, "Yeah, that's him." And I was like, "What are you thinking?" And he's like, "Man, I love it." He goes, "But the amount of people that like just throw hate because it's weird." Yeah. And I was like, that's what happens when you push your envelopes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, just like bad Chad. I mean, people bust on him left and right, and I like Chad. I mean, we've talked a little bit, and it's just crazy how another man will spend time busting on someone when they're not doing anything. Yeah. Like, you're spending, I can see the chat, like, you'll just see chats, and it's like, this dude's saying this, and then it's just like 45 minutes later, this dude's chiming back in. It's like, you're watching this dude. This dude is getting paid from YouTube. He's making money. Yeah. So talk smack all you want, but you're not doing anything, whether you like it or whatever.
I forget who it was, but somebody's like, keep commenting. Because every time you comment, I get paid.
Yeah.
Like, so, like me or hate me. And originally when the TV show came out, I was like, oh, man. Well, you know how that is. TV shows kind of, they make it look worse than it actually is.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, man, he's kind of hack. And, but then we met him at Turkey Rod Run 2 years ago, I think he was there. And talking to him, I'm like, he's just a dude that he deals with his bullshit. He uses what he has.
Yeah.
If he doesn't have the knowledge or a tool or whatever, he just
they're
makes
in the middle
of
Canada. They're not like the access they have probably isn't like here. I mean,
that's like
they're out there. So
that's like Carl Fisher, Jap Hands.
Oh yeah,
that dude,
that dude kills, bro.
And crazy work.
Yeah,
in the middle of Canada.
Yep.
Is
that where he's at?
Yeah.
Is he? I didn't know that.
He's in BC.
Oh, really? I didn't know where he was. I follow him on Instagram, but
his truck and one of his buddi's cars was in the live action Sonic movie, in the bar scene.
Oh, was it really? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, his truck obviously he has a standalone fuel system, the same one I'm going to do on the Model A, to where you can just flip a switch and as long as it's got fuel in the tank, it'll burn flames.
Oh, dude.
You're not.
Oh, yeah.
You're not like the hot lick ones where you rev it up and it actually shuts the motor off.
Yeah, that's when you're rinsing your pistons. Yeah, that's me. I unhooked it because I got a little too trigger happy with it. I'm like, the kids love it. So I'm like, I got to just unhook it.
So his is actually like he has another set of coils, nitrous solenoids. It plumps in. And it's still the fuel tank. So he just lets the truck idle and it shoots he sets his to like 6 foot flames.
Wow. It's just more PSI. You just turn the PSI up. Yeah.
Increase the jet in the nitrous outlet.
Yeah.
And
that's cool.
But so he got approached because they filmed a lot of that movie up there. Mm-hmm. And they were like, hey, can you have another one of those? And he was like, no, I just have this one. And I'm like, well, can you make another one? And he's like, well, yeah. Mm-hmm. You have a car? And he was like, no. I'm like, okay, well, find one of your buddies that wants flamethrowers. So they did the same install on a Model A. So at the bar scene, his truck's parked here shooting flames, and there's a Model A Roadster shooting flames.
Oh, really? That's dope. What's the name of that again?
The Sonic movie.
The Sonic movie? I'll have to check it out. I don't watch TV unless my family makes me.
We don't have TV. We use YouTube and.
Yeah, when Jessie and I. When she came, I lived in Edgewater, New Smyrna Beach, and she would come in and she's like, where's your TV? I'm like, I don't have one, but I had an old jukebox that played 45s and had Patsy Cline in there.
There you go.
And stuff like that. And I was like, nope, I don't watch television.
Well, unlimited budget. What are you building?
If I had an unlimited budget, what else? You'll laugh at me, but honestly, a 35 to 38 Ford Coupe. That's like my jam, dude. I love my 50, but a 35 to 38 Ford Coupe, Mike Bello style chop on it, laying on running boards is like probably my favorite car, dude. A 3-window, especially with the right cuts, Yeah, that's my jam, dude. There's something about a pre-war car, man. There's something about a pre-war car, but you got to stand in line to find them. They're getting harder to find, But yeah, that's where I'm at, man. Without an unlimited budget, and it wouldn't take much. I'm not trying to build something crazy. I just want something clean, but the unlimited budget wouldn't go towards the car. It would come to being able to live life while I spent that year on that car. That's where I would need the money. I still want to pay my bills, but I want to dedicate a year to this car. And yeah, that's where I would be. I mean, that's probably my favorite car.
Yeah, there was a 37 Chevrolet at West Coast, and I seen it, and I was like,
yeah, them Chevys look good chopped and on the ground, but me, those 3-window Fords, good.
He had a setup, and we kept looking at it, and I even asked, like, everybody that would walk by, because everybody was staring at his headlights. And I was like, I don't know what those headlights are off of. Mm-hmm. Finally, I got him by the car, and I was like, hey, man. He's like, yeah. I was like, beautiful car. What headlights are those? And he goes, it's the only one that's known to be in existence. And I was like, what? He goes, it was back in the late 30s. They're called Woods. The guy built these headlights. They turn.
Oh, really?
They're like diamond shaped.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
He goes, this is one of his original like prototype sets. Really? But the amount of time it took for them to build them at that time, no one could afford them.
Right.
So like he had a set that died with a car that he had, and then this set, and then there's like another set that's known to be floating around, but no one will admit they have it.
I've heard of them. I've never seen them, but you know. But
I'll show you a picture after the podcast because, like I said, I had this car, and I was like, and it was like flat, like hot rod flats paint.
Yeah.
Like it was not like an outrageous color, and it was
the
like
lights are worth more than the whole car.
And I'm like looking at the car, and I'm like, dude, that is dope.
Yeah.
Like it was just simple, but not basic.
Yeah.
If that.
Sure.
And that's kind of like, I'm like, you know, some cars go outrageous, but then like certain cars, it's fine just to like a real clean, simple.
Yeah.
Not simple in ease, but simple and not gaudy.
Yeah. Well, that's why, dude, I'm a fan of.
I haven't got behind the bomb thing. That's my, like, oh, I heard a bomb. And I'm like, it's got all that chrome and extra stuff I don't.
All the accessory stuff, yeah.
Like, I love watching it. I don't think I would ever own one just because it's.
I like visors and stuff. I mean, obviously I like chops,
I like visors.
But, you know, I like some of the Bombita stuff, but, yeah, I don't know, man. I like West Coast customs more than East Coast customs, which I might get some static over that, but I don't care. But I just like clean lines. I don't like stuff that's not supposed to be on there. I don't need to say, hey, I've got 8 different, you know, cars on my Chevy. You know what I mean? Just maybe a French, which mine aren't even French in the front, but you know, maybe a French, a chop, hammer it, you know, 670 white walls, and just clean lines. That's where I'm at. Like,
that was like the 55 that Hometown Hot Rodder and then Ken ended up owning and won a Mild Custom Award. You know, they decked the nose, they decked the trunk. Mm-hmm. He welded in. He took a piece of 18 gauge wire
down the hood,
to make it match the peak. They rolled the trunk because the trunk sticks down like 1/4 of an inch past the body line, so they rolled the trunk to make it flush, like fit with the lines. And
that's cool.
It's a Crown Vic, so they took the side trim off and stuck it on the door panel. Mm. So like when you look in the car, the door panel has that V.
Oh yeah.
Left the band.
Nice.
So it was like, if it's not sitting next to another Crown Vic, you're like, oh, it's a beautiful car. And then it's sitting next to another one, and I'm like, okay, now you can see all the small. It was stuff, tastefully done. It wasn't like, because I think you can get gaudy with a car with mods.
Oh yeah. Well, see, I guess back in the day, like, people would pick up points on the East Coast by mods. You know what I mean? Yeah. So they would start doing all of this stuff and adding, and then the car just started looking like a dinosaur or something. And it's just like, you got all this stuff on this car, they're picking up mods, and I think that might have been like the way. But I don't know. I've heard some stuff like that, but I mean, I didn't live it. But to me, West Coast, just something clean and smooth. Your lines are right. Psh, dude.
Almost like the 59 Cadillacs. I don't like them because everybody uses those lights to French into every other car.
Yeah, 59s.
Those little booby lights.
Oh, yeah.
You know, every Model A across the country. Oh, what light you going with? French 59 Cadillacs, and it's like,
yeah. Yeah, they I've seen them on motorcycles.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everything, man.
Yeah, and I get it. It's a nice light. But I just don't think it belongs on everything.
Yeah.
It's very easy. It's very easy to get in a checklist.
Yeah.
That's kind of why I'll get hate for this, but that's why I don't like traditional, like legit traditional hot rods, because you get it's got to have a 32 grill. It's got to be on a Bowling Brothers 512. It's got to be on this. It's got to be on that. It's got to be that. It's like, no, it doesn't. It's whatever you want.
Yeah. And then the purists, any purist, I mean, you make a cut, they're pissed. You're like, dude.
Well, it's my dad's, which they ended up selling it, but he had a little 34 pickup truck, and it had a Model A grill.
Yeah.
And, why doesn't it have a flathead? Well, it's because it's got a running and driving small block.
Mm-hmm.
Why doesn't it have a 32 grill? Because it's got a grill show.
Yeah.
The only thing I gave him shit about was the hood. They put a hood on it, and I'm like, eh.
Yeah. I'll get some real static for this is, I'm okay putting a 350 small block in a Ford. No problem. I will do it. Seth and I was talking about it. He's just like, I don't like when people put small block Chevy motors in freaking shoebox Fords. And I'm thinking, I do it.
I'm okay with LS's in it as long as it's got a hood.
Yeah, I haven't got into the LS game yet, but I mean, I don't know where I'm at with that, but I don't know enough about it. I'm not into it.
But it's also depending on the mission for the car.
That's true. And the power, I mean, you can just pull so much power out of them.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason there's an LS in that Cadillac out there. I plan to drive it 2,650 miles one way.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah,
and
exactly.
I want good fuel mileage, not the 8 miles that I was hoping to get out of the Model A.
No, I agree. I just don't. I never got in the game. I don't know much about it. And I'm not a mechanic as far as internals and all of the I just don't. I'm low and slow, man. Like I'm just low and slow, and I want it to sound good and sound rowdy, but it don't have to be.
Well, that was the Lost in the 50s show. They do a parade lap, and it's like a 2-hour parade lap through the city.
Really?
And me and Brian were in the 55, and we were very irresponsible. We were running out of up juice about 3/4 of the way through the parade. And it was, luckily he built the car to where it only sits like 3/4 of an inch off the ground when it's all the way out. So we could still drive it. Left turns were a little hard.
What, batteries going down?
No. So the electric fan and the compressors were on the same fuse.
Oh.
So when it blew a fuse.
Oh, yeah.
It got warm. So we replaced the fuse, so we replaced the fuse, filled the tank, shut the compressors off. Now it has fans.
Yeah.
So we're driving and we're like cruising around, driving like a boat,
Yeah.
real high in the front. We're just cruising around. And
tail drag.
Every once in a while you'd like, just pop the back up a little bit and lay it back down. Well, so he goes, all right, one more time. I think I got one more in it. So he hits the back up and it literally goes 40 PSI and stops. And I'm like, okay, so that is all the air you have in the tank is 40 PSI because it just equalized. And he's like, yeah. So he reaches up, he lowers it back down again, and I'm like, all right, cool, we're good. We can drive like this. And then I see him reaching back up again. And I went, no. He went up in the front and
stole air from the front. Yeah.
And I went,
yeah.
And he's like, oh, man. And the owner is in the car behind us in the Woody. So we make the left-hand turn. And gets a phone, he calls. Brian's like, I'm sorry, man. He goes, nah, that bitch look good.
Look good?
He goes,
funny.
He's like, and obviously you can turn. I'm like, yeah, we got left hands.
Yeah.
Well, then at the end
thanks to a little bit of camber.
At the end of the road, you got to make a right. And I'm like, well, I don't want to really, it's going to be embarrassing because, like, you got to get in the back to turn the compressors on. So I'm like, oh, there's a gas station. Just pull into the gas station. We'll pretend like we're getting gas. Mm-hmm. I'll lift the trunk, I'll flip the compressors on, nobody will know.
Yeah.
So he goes to make a right into the gas station, and the car didn't, but it felt like it sped up and headed towards the traffic. We were about to become Mustang boys.
Oh, boy.
So he, yaks it back, gets to the end, and the cop's like, you got to go that way. And we're like, it doesn't turn that way. It goes left or straight. You pick.
Oh, my God.
So like and he's like, you gotta go, and we're like, we can't. And I'm like, okay, your options are let us go straight across, and we'll stop traffic over there, which there is none, or we have to stop right here.
Yeah.
And he's like, go.
Yeah.
But that car, you know, it was hilarious because, like I said, the picture was awesome.
Yeah.
And it's like, because it's, you know, frames
caked
half-inch off the ground.
Yep.
Just take a wide turn.
Yeah.
You know, cut your corners right. You know, anybody that has driven low stuff understands what you have to do to get it.
Oh, yeah.
But
yeah, it's funny because you were talking about, like, I know this is random, but I wanted to bring it up. You said you got dropped uprights on your car.
Yeah.
Dude, did you hear, like, Fat Man, like, they're out? Like,
yeah.
Do you know if anybody's picking them up? Or?
I don't know.
So I'm like, damn, dude, I use those uprights. Like, don't leave me. Like, I need you in my life. And I'm like, Fat Man's going out. Like,
I would assume that somebody would at least
pick up that freaking design or something.
Either pick up a set and even cast them.
Yeah.
You know, don't even.
Yeah, because they're nice. Like, he's got steering arms. He's got, I'm like, damn, dude. Like, because I'm cool with factory cross members. I'm cool with that. I don't have to pull the motor. I don't have to do all that stuff, and they'll still get down. I'm all right with that. And it saves money. It saves, you know, I mean, I understand, like, people want racks and stuff like that, but for me, I'll just clean up that factory cross member. They'll get down. I'll I'll step the lowers and step the lowers, and you put a dropped upright on there. That thing is hammered. In my car, I don't even have dropped uprights. I just got stepped lowers. You know what I mean? My stepping lowers, like
yeah,
you cut them. Yeah. So I did that, and that thing gets down, dude.
It does.
But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind it a little lower, but my factory steering, that's one thing that kind of hangs down where it gets a little close. But
that's the only thing that drags on her car is the exhaust.
Really?
Because
that's why I run mine through the bumper.
No, that part doesn't scrape.
Oh, really?
So whoever did the car originally ran all the exhaust under. So it is the bottom of the car.
Oh,
instead
really?
of going through the cross members or over cross members.
Yeah.
So like the trans cross member, the exhaust goes underneath of it.
Dude, I've got an epic exhaust guy, man, right around the corner from my house, my buddy Alan. And he fought me on my car. He's like, I was putting so check this out. My wife gets me a brand new rear bumper for my birthday, right? She comes outside, and I have the water hose running and a hole saw. And she's like, what are you doing? I just bought you that. And I'm like, I've got an idea. You know, and I'm cutting the same. So I cut it a little bit smaller, you know.
Yeah.
And then I take a, like a rasp bit that goes on my, I open it up and I fit them through there because I was like, I didn't want to keep crushing.
That's why I want to do it with the.
Yeah, and it worked good, but my exhaust guy, he's like, you want 1.5 inch exhaust pipe into 3/4 tips? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, No, you don't. I'm like, no, I do. I want like pencil tips. Bro, he fought me on it, and he goes, dude, it's not going to sound right. You need 2.25 or 2. And I'm like, no, dude, because I just was trying to get, like we were talking about, the California kind of West Coast sound. And so finally, once he heard, because I don't even have glass packs on that thing. It's just straight. And finally, once he heard it, he goes, all right, it sounds pretty good. But he did a jam-up job. So if you ever need it redone, it'd be worth the trip.
Yeah, and that was, I'd never, so we did manifolds on it. And obviously those.
The truck manifolds?
No.
Square bodies?
No, it still has a 235 in it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
so the split manifolds.
Yeah, my bad.
And obviously they don't line up exactly with where.
Mm-hmm.
So I told her, well, go buy some 2-inch flex pipe. And you're going to learn how to make an exhaust today.
Yep. Yeah.
Because we didn't have concrete here, so I was doing it at my mom and dad's house. I'm taking up their carport space. It's already been over there for like 2 weeks because the springs were too low, so I had to order new springs and this and so it's like I want to get this car home. So we do that, and she goes and gets it, and she's like, I really want to put that above, but everything else is welded in. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I can't get it back out and around to.
Right.
So I could have cut more and ran more flex pipe, but at that point I was just like, clamp this joker and let's get gone.
Well, if you ever get a 350 in it, if you ever put a small block on it.
There's one sitting out there that was going in it.
All right, well, square body truck exhaust manifolds will clear your factory steering because that's a pain. It's a pain to get past that steering. So if you remember that square body manifolds for 350 will, because one kind of goes back and one goes straight down to clear your steering, and it worked perfect. And I think I bought them brand new for $150. So. That
car's for sale if anybody wants it.
The 54?
Yeah, I gotta get.
What are you trying to pedal it for?
We'll talk often.
All right. He's like, I don't want to sell it.
No, I don't like that car.
You don't like it?
But I love it. It's one of those love hates.
It's like family. You don't have to like me, but you have to love me. Yeah.
We were washing it the first time we did the flood petrol on it just to give it a little bit more shine, and I was rinsing it off, and I'm like, this is the ugliest car I've ever seen in my entire life. Why would anybody want this? And she's like, I like it. I'm like, okay, well, it's your car. I'm like, I don't have to like it. And then that car made memories. That car became part of the podcast. Like, I was trying to keep it separate, but then when she won the Bad Apple with it, I'm like, well, now it's kind of part of it, and it's the first car. And
she won Bad Apple. Was that Groundhog?
No, at Turkey Rod Run, the Bad Apple at Iron Horse.
Oh, nice.
I walked my back to death, and so I'm like, I'm not parking across the street. I don't care how much they want to enter this car show. I'm entering your car in it. You're not winning. And she was like, yeah, okay. It was like $20. I'm like, game.
Yeah.
Parked, and I'm like, you ain't gonna win nothing. And Hannah and Corey Wheat were there, and we're standing there, and Eddie Rat with he's Ado. I'm gonna say his name wrong, so I'm not gonna say his company, but he's got a ridiculously nice bead rolled with copper inserts, and it's a beautiful Model A. So he wins something, and we're standing there, and we're like, hey, supporting your homies, and we hear Hannah Wheat with the welding rig, and I'm like, we'll go get her.
Yeah.
So we go and we're like, hey, you want something? She's like, no, are you sure they didn't say Corey? And I was like, no, they said Hannah, so it's you. So they're walking up, and as we're walking back towards the stage, I hear Ashley Boys, and I'm like, that's not what I heard. And she's like, 54 Chevrolet. I'm like, that's not. Orange Patina. I'm like, hey, you want something too, so go. She's like, I win nothing. So now they're up there arguing with the guy that has the sheet.
Saying
that wasn't us.
That's funny.
I don't know where the trophy went. That's somewhere. But it's a CNC cut apple.
Yeah.
And this year, the previous year, I said I wanted to win one because it was the American flag, and I love America. Yeah. This year, it was like a rotten apple, so it's like black light, lime green, like molten apple. It's cool. So
that happened to me once. I was at the Groundhog Gala. I was at Route 44.
Yeah.
And I had my 58 Apache. And I was walking around or something, and Drag Winks at the time gave me Drag Winks. So I didn't even register. I just paid the money to drink beer with my friends and never went up there because I've never cared about winning. I'm like, let somebody else win. That's important too. I don't care about that part. So I'm over there, and they're like, hey, you won. And they gave me a hand-carved tiki. Well, I'm standing there, and I'm looking at my truck, and I'm like, you mean the black dumpster over there with the metal flake top on it? And my friends are over there, and they're cooking sausages on the back of my truck. You can see the grease handprints where people's got their hands on my truck, and it's like a whole party, tailgate party going on. Like, that's our favorite truck we picked. I'm like, okay, the dumpster on Whitewall's got it. Like, it's just trash all in it from people eating and shit. It's funny.
I don't really care about shows, and I'd mentioned our show. We don't do top 30. We don't do participation. We don't do any of that. Yeah. We give out 3 awards. Well, we're going to give out 4 this year, but we gave out 3 awards last year. Our pick, lady owned or lady driven.
Oh, cool, yeah.
And furthest distance driven.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
So last year we had a guy, his girlfriend lives in Oklahoma. She drove from Oklahoma to Missouri, picked him up and his slingshot dragster that's modeled after a chassis research car on a homemade trailer from Missouri to Bellevue, Florida for our show.
Rad.
And the coolest part was Don had seen that car 6-7 years ago, and him and Don are riding around on Don's golf cart checking out cars at my car show. bullshitting about the good old days of racing. Wow. And I was like...
Garlic came out?
Yeah.
That's rad, dude.
It's at his facility.
Oh, it's at his... Oh, that's considered Belleville?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Okay.
I thought it was Ocala. Yeah, but I didn't know it was Belleville. That's why I was thinking, like, that's cool, man.
Yeah, no, it's... So we're trying to mimic what you said with the bicycles in front of his garage.
Nice.
That's what we're trying... Like, that was the whole... It's a hangout.
Yeah.
You know, we have food vendors... bunch of cool cars come out. But our podcast pick, and that's what I explained to people, and I got a lot of shit for it last year, but I've explained it better this year. It's not necessarily the nicest car there.
Yeah, it's just what you
It's
want.
the story.
Yeah.
You know, because, you know, we had people,
right.
Why don't you do a top 30? I'm like, because you wouldn't win.
Yeah.
If I'm the judge, you're not winning a top 30. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like...
I think it's good to let clubs pick. If there's a club presence, let them pick.
Yeah, like, so our sponsors can build a trophy and bring it.
Yep.
And then any car clubs, I want you to bring a trophy.
Yeah.
You know, that way. And Rolling Jokers brought one. Asphalt Misfits brought one. I think there was a couple others. But, you know, the lady owned, it's either a car that a lady drives. Like, it's her car.
And you kind of get to pass the buck on being the bad guy.
Well, and that
you're like... Because people are like, oh, that's just your buddy. And you're like,
our podcast pick was my buddy.
Yeah.
But that car, it's a 53 Meadowbrook. And I dropped that gantry off to him New Year's Eve. We cut the firewall of that car to slide a 12-valve Cummins in it on live New Year's night. And 3 days later, it was rolling across Don Garlett's show field with a hood stack and a shoestring throttle with absolutely no suspension. It is sitting on bump stops in the front, and the leaf springs are cut and just shackled up.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was there.
And I don't give... I know that... And there was a lot of cool cars there. And a lot of cool people. You know, my mom gave out an award for Podcast Mom.
Oh,
you know,
nice.
And Why Not gave out a trophy to Randy. So the slingshot that got towed there.
Yeah.
But he fired it up and whopped it a little bit. And that's all. I was, like I said, we were trying to mimic you hanging out with your buddies.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you go to these car shows and it's all about a $5 trophy.
People take it too serious.
You don't run it, you know. I would rather, and I don't know if he wants me to say his name, but we had a gentleman come up and he was like, man, I don't want to fuck up your trophy shit, so I don't even want to register, but I just want to give you money. And I was like, no, dude, like, I'm not taking, like...
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I'm here. I want to support.
That's cool.
But, like, I don't want a trophy. He's like, so... And what was hilarious is I was getting told that I was charging too much on this side of my head. And this guy's giving me money just because he comes to support. So he fills out the paperwork, and his car is a very, very nice 50s Chevrolet. It is absolutely gorgeous.
Green puff.
It's probably got more money in the 235 motor than that car's worth.
Oh, I know exactly who it is.
Used to have a Suburban?
Yeah, I know who it is. That's my boy.
Yeah,
we're boys.
But, so, and he was just here.
Yeah.
And he left the registration card, and one of the guys that was bitching about how much money it was walks it over, and he's like, I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's...
Yeah, D's
I
cool,
don't make any
he's,
money.
Yeah, he's cool, dude.
I don't make any money on the show. My goal is to not make money on the show. This year, we're benefiting, spreading the love. It's Sean Rose with Rose Metalworks. His wife passed away from cancer. Oh. He started a nonprofit to help cancer.
Yeah.
He does live bead rolling, so I'm hoping that he's going to bring the bead roll trailer down, and
that'd be dope.
We'll be bead rolling it in Don Garlett's pasture.
People love seeing things like that.
We have a pinup contest this year. Food vendors again. A band potentially.
Is it pretty smooth working with Don when it comes to... Do you work with him direct, or has he got...
He has a Chuck, which we met with Don when we signed the paperwork, because Don makes the final decision on pricing and all of that. But we didn't know Don was going to be there, and Friday I went up to set the dumpster and the porta potties, and Chris Bumpus was like, yeah, I gotta get I guess Don's coming, so I got to get his garage ready to. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, Don's gonna be here. And I was like, I didn't think he was gonna be here. He's like, oh yeah, he's gonna be here. Yeah. It's like we show up and like Don's rolling up the garage door, and I'm like, oh, this is exactly what I wanted, man. Yeah. Like it was killer.
That's cool.
So, what is a show or event that you try to make every year?
For me, one that I've not been to that I really want to go to, I really want to go to GNR's. I mean, but as far as like local color, it's the Groundhog Gala, dude. I mean, that's what I call the reunion. I mean, that's the reunion. If you miss it, you're lame. These guys are awesome. I'm actually technically, I've been a piece of crap. I'm saying it. So all you misfires, Yogi, Nads, JT, all you boys out there, I've been a horrible prospect, but I'm technically prospecting for them. But because of my mom had fell in some bad health and stuff, they've been really understanding, and I've been busy. And then, so yeah, I've spent a lot of time up there with her in North Florida, Trenton, which I don't know where that's at from here, but outside of Chiefland. It's kind of a rock's throw from Chiefland. So.
Oh, okay.
Trenton's due west of Gainesville, pretty much. So,
you talking where the Groundhog Gala is?
No. That's where my mom's at. So I've been spending a lot.
You've been going, yeah.
I've been spending a lot of time up there until recently. I've just because of work has picked up, and I've had to kind of get back to working because life still comes at you, even though there's hardship. So you got to pay bills. But so technically, I'm prospecting for them, but they probably all think I'm a freaking ding dong, which is okay. I'll make it up to them somehow. But I've always said like the gala's just the one. That's the reunion. You don't miss it. That's the show. But I don't go to a lot of shows. I usually go to the Turkey Rob Run to slang some stuff at the swap meet or whatever, and I go to the gala. I don't go to local cruise-ins because I'm a dad, man. I go home and I eat with my family and I hang out with my kids, and that's what I do. I don't really get out much. So
it's gotten, because we tried a little cruise-in and it was mildly successful, but then politics got into it, and it was like, it's not a car show. It's not a car show,
and that's what kills it, and that kills anything. People kill it. People kill the car culture. People kill religion. People kill your job. People just dude, I've had some of the closest people in my life because of my shop and because they've wanted something or they expected more. You give them a hookup and then they don't appreciate it, and then they want more, and you're like, dude, you're retired, and I'm still fighting for mine, and you want to take advantage of me?
And we've talked about that numerous times. You don't go to Walmart and ask for a discount.
No, you can't do that.
But you'll come to me and ask for $5, $10. Oh, just give me a shirt. It's like,
and they have how many cars, and they want to be Richard Rawlins. Those guys have, hey, I'm going to buy this car. Have you do it for next to nothing. Take it to Mecum and freaking hit a lick. No, you're not.
Well, no, and we haven't Ashley, if you get one of our shirts or one of our hats, Ashley did that.
She prints them and stuff
like she presses it right here, right where we're sitting.
Yeah.
And we haven't got where she can't do it yet.
Yeah.
I hope to one day be that way.
Sure.
But, all 150 shirts that were pressed for the hangout, she pressed every single one of them. Okay. That's
hardcore. Yeah, I get mine from Enemy Inc. I'm just like, print me 100, and then hope I make my money back.
But on our hats,
that's a lot of work.
And you also get the people like, oh, I'll buy one. Okay.
Yeah.
Where you at? Yeah. And they're like, oh, you have them? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, that's right, dude.
Like now she's pressed me 10 hats because when I forget that this is not my work hat and I go work in the shop and it turns white, I'm
famous for that.
Just have to ask her, hey, does the warranty department warranty sweat?
Yeah.
No?
How many times you're like, oh, my good hat, dude, I forgot to switch hats.
Yeah.
I don't not wear a hat. If I don't have a hat on, something's wrong.
Something's wrong.
Something's wrong.
I was the same way.
Yeah. But due to the fact that I saw Bad Chad got them hair implants and people were busting his ass for it, and I'm like, I'd do it.
Yeah, I'm bald.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, you kind of, me, I kind of look like I don't know.
That's what mine looked like earlier. I was just long haired.
Yeah, I got the mange, But Chad went and did that, and I was like, man, because I've always wanted that 50s whip, just that, be able to just get that whip.
We'll talk about that after podcast.
Yeah. Is your wife doing hair plugs now?
No, she's not doing hair plugs. She worked for, I'll tell you, internet.
All right.
She was a hairdresser before COVID, before we met.
Mm-hmm.
And then during COVID, obviously, that quit.
Sure.
She, bless her heart, does not watch the news at all. So when her company called and was like, oh, by the way, Friday's the last day, she's like, huh? Like, the pandemic? And she's like, the what? Like, she's oblivious.
Yeah.
So we met because of toilet paper. I had toilet paper. I'm a single guy. So I have toilet paper. She needed toilet paper. She come up, got toilet paper.
Are you being serious?
Yeah, 100%.
What a story. No, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like, you just randomly, something random. That's
so
cool.
she was off work. I work a government job. So I was working 1 week on, 1 week off. So she come up, we had dinner, and then she went home, and I was like, hey, you coming back up? She's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, cool, come back up. And then eventually it was like, hey, why don't you just bring the dog with you, so you don't have to go home again?
Did you ever mess with her? Like, hey, babe, I got more toilet paper.
She never took toilet paper home with her, so she just had to keep coming back. But
come by for a wipe.
So with her being in the hair world, she got an opportunity to do temporary hair replacement. And I'll show you a picture, dude.
Where they're shaving their head and doing that, making it blend.
Yeah,
there's a guy doing that for kids that were that's incredible.
So I got to do. I've never had hair.
You've tried this?
Yeah, I'll show you a picture of it, dude. And I had 8.5 inches of hair on top of my head.
Oh my god!
And I've never had hair.
That's
I've never had long hair because in school I always kept short hair. I did karate, so I always had the flat top, the little mean mug haircuts. I never had hair.
Yeah.
Well, then I played sports. I always shaved my head because I was a catcher. So I never had hair. But I always wanted to be able to slick it back. Yeah. So matched it to my hair color.
What? How long does it last?
So she would take it off every month and shave my head again and glue it back on.
Oh, yeah. So you can use the same piece and stuff?
For until the hair starts falling out. But you brush it.
And you were just wearing this around town, check me out.
Yeah. So I grew my hair out for a month.
Yeah.
And then, so I went to work. I wear a hat at work. They never even knew. So then I showed up and I took my hat off and they're like.
Because they never really knew.
I had hair. I've never, you take your hat off, you got your head, people see that you ain't got hair.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you come back and I got to do the Fabio, hair flip with the beard and everything at the Springs.
You can swim with this?
Yeah.
What?
You wash it. It's like your hair.
I got to see this.
I tested it.
Here. I got to see this.
I have a picture. I'll show you.
I'm so interested in this.
So
I don't care if I'm a kook or not. I'm going to try this.
And then my bike, I was like, there's no way that it'll last on the bike. So I took my hat off and went and did the posted speed limit, and it didn't blow. I kept looking in the mirror to make sure that it wasn't doing Yeah, dude, I'm telling you. And
this is insane.
So she worked for a lady, and the lady wouldn't let her do it on anybody else.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm bald.
Yeah.
I just put one on me.
Let's go. Yeah.
So she did it I was her test dummy. And yeah.
So is she doing that for work now?
No, she switched to the finance world.
So what do you got to do? You got to order these pieces, or you got to custom fit them? Or
there's places. The place she worked was in Tampa, but I'm assuming there's probably places in Orlando or over by your way. But yeah, man, I
would love to just show up and people be like, "What?"
You can. You brush it like it's your hair.
That's wild. That's insane.
But. So, are you working on anything currently? Got any current projects tucked away?
I got a '79 shovel that I'm working on a little bit. I bought it from a good friend of mine, Steve, and he talked me into. I wanted a '78 because that's the year I was born. He goes, "Well, I got a '79. It was technically built in '78," and I was like, "Dang it, you got me." Okay, and so I got that from him, and it was I rode it home from his house, and then I just started disassembling it, and I hardtailed it. I did a hardtail with a stretch, got a stretch and a kick up to get it down, and then I got a Springer front end. 2 over, but a factory rake. I didn't rake or anything like that. I'm trying to just do something really skinny. Dirt bike tire up front, 21 dirt bike tire up front, and then I've got like a double pinner white wall on the rear. Just trying to make it cool. I'm going to have Yogi. I got some swap meet bars and kind of mocked them up the way I wanted, and he's going to make me some out of stainless. So I've never really went into bikes till later because just had young boys and stuff, and I just kind of wanted to wait. And I was just so saturated in cars I didn't need to be. I rode motocross when I was younger, but never really got crazy in the bikes. And then I found a deal on a Softail, restyled it. I wouldn't say I built it. I just took some stuff off, put some stuff on. And a guy came over. He goes, "Man, I really like this bike." And I said, "Yeah." And he says, "You want to sell it?" I said, "Well, I just kind of got done with it, you know." And I didn't even have my endorsement yet. And he's like, "Well, would you take $6,000 for it?" And I was like, "Go get it." Because I was way ahead. So he went and got the 6. And then my neighbor, Matt, has a Road King. And it was, he had got like a contract, so he was working back and forth in Naples. And I knew how this Road King just did a tensioner on it, like 24,000 miles on it. And I said, "Hey, what's up with that Road King?" Because I knew he wanted to get a center console boat. So I said, "Would you sell it?" And he goes, "What'd you sell that Softail for?" And I was like, $6,000. He goes, "Go get it." So I'm like, okay. So I traded the Softail for a King. And then I just started cutting it. I just started cutting the piss out of this thing and got it to lay frame. And I was on dual 16 white walls. And then I finally put a 21 fat spoke up front. And I've got beach bars on it. I really like the way the bike looks without me on it, sitting, because I'm 6'3". And so I had my wife come out. I was like, "Hey, Jesse, will you take a picture of me doing a drive-by on my bike? I want to see what I look like on it." So I've got these beach bars turned down, right, and I'm just skirting around. I do a drive-by, come around, I turn in the driveway, and I said, "How'd I look?" And she goes, "You look like a freaking ding-dong."
I was going to say a monkey fucking a
She said, "You look like," and I go, "For real?" And I watched the video, and I was like, "Oh, dude.
She's not wrong."
You know, I'm big and I'm low, but that's the way the boys in Cali look. You know, they're just riding. So I'm like, because I follow all these, fishtail magazines. And so I love the lines of the bike without me on it. But I thought about getting some swept Carlinis just because those bars do hurt me. After a while when you're riding down like that, they hurt me. So I thought about putting like some 14 swept Carlinis on it. But I'll tell you some things I did to it. I would consider it my first build because to get that bike on the ground, I took the swing arm off and I had to pretty much do stuff to the swing arm, the down tubes of the bike to get the swing arm to clear that. And then I figured out if I flip the swing arm upside down, I'll get lower. It's 05. So I flipped the swing arm. Oh, really? I flipped the swing arm upside down. And then I clocked, my friend Brian Dady of Motorcycle Clinic helped me figure out how to clock the caliper at 6 o'clock to clear. So when it came up, so I cut the piss out of this thing, cut my seat, refiberglassed it to go with the lines, all this stuff. So I would consider that.
You're only on the rear ride on that, right?
No, I'm on the front.
Oh, okay.
I can teach you how to get that bike down, the front of that down on air ride for, like, how they have the pucks and stuff? Yeah. I can teach you how to do that for about $14. And it'll freaking hammer down, dude. And it'll give you about ½ inch of clearance over your front fender.
Because I had, before Dragon Ass made the kit, I did the Corvette shocks, and I was like...
That's what's on mine.
3.5 inches off the ground.
Yeah, but I just relocated.
That's why I was asking.
I relocated the point to where they go. And we can talk about that more often, because everybody's probably getting bored. Like, talk about something interesting, because now I'm just homeboy talking.
Hey, it's all good. That's what this is for, man.
Yeah.
Well, what's one piece of advice that you'd give somebody that's trying to get in the car world?
Humility. I've always just stuck with that, man. Like, if you learn one thing, don't turn into a Mr. Know-It-All or a cool guy. Always be open to learn. Always teach. Once you learn something, if a new guy comes in or a younger guy, pass it on. Don't keep it in your back pocket like you know something nobody else does. Keep it going. So humility, be humble, don't let it get to your head, and pass on knowledge. And Gene was the same way. So I would have to follow his every day is a school day. That was his saying. And I would say, Gene, this one's for you. And, I just be like Gene.
Hell yeah. Well, is there anybody that you want to give a shout out to before we go through our sponsors?
Give a shout out to my girl Jessie for putting up with my crap. You know, she's deals with me on a daily basis.
It's always easy. It's always easier when the significant others support it.
That's pretty tough. Just, you know, all the builders out there, I love them all. You know, I love all of them. There's not a builder that I hate. There's not a builder unless they get cocky, and even some of the cocky ones, I know some of it's just, you know, a publicity stunt. But just shout out to Gene, Oz, Ed Pinkston, Voodoo Larry, Mike Bello, Bad Chad, Alex Gambino, of course. Just all those guys that I've learned a lot from and have taken time to be there for me. You know?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, quickly run through ours and then we'll get out of here.
All right, bro.
So make sure you go show Why Not Fab on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok some love. If you're looking for some shirts, some sunglasses, go check out Throttle Addict, code word Hot Rod. Save 15% off. Make sure you go show Johnny Jalopy some love. Facebook, YouTube, JohnnyJalopy.com. He's doing the Hangout 2026 logo again. Thanks again, man. Make sure you go show Low Income Clothing, Low Income Photo, Facebook and Instagram. Also, if you haven't, go show Wrenching for the Future on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. They're trying to put kids back in auto shop. And special shout out to Psycho Simmons with Psycho Fab. Make sure you go show him some love. Check out what he's doing. Well, till next time, guys, get out and drive your shit. Later.